Just
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, everybody, welcome to the January 16th CDB workshop. Tonight's discussion is going to be around our. So I was going to say GoGov, but my first comment tonight is
it's my celebration.
We need to stop using the phrase GoGov and start using the phrase my celebration. That is the branding of the tool, and we want to make sure the community is not. So we'll be talking about my celebration tonight and kind of the implementation for that. So,
Yeah.
So Angel and Tom have really been running this on our half. We asked Pro as well, obviously stakeholders in this as well, if they wanted to participate. So appreciate them coming in as well. So really, I think the overall intent that I hope to get out of this is really just understanding the timeline of where we're at, any hurdles that we need to get this rolled out, any challenges we have as we see it. So for the community interface piece. And then separately more for the internal piece as well, starting to see some of those agreements and timelines for being able to tackle some of the common issues. So that was my hope out of it. I don't know if anybody else had any high-level thoughts before we came in common.
So the intent is to have this meeting, go through all these things. If anyone's found any issues, bugs, or anything, because we've had a select few using it. And kind of go over what we found on our end. And then after tonight's meeting, I'm going to set up another meeting with Joe at GoGov. And I'm going to incorporate whomever from CROA to come in and they'll answer all of our questions. CROA stuff still is in there as far as their staff, but I think a lot of that needs to be scrubbed because it's been duplicated. You've let some people go, some people have changed. The thing that we're going to have to put back in is the CROA piece that we took out. But again,
is it out or is it hidden?
No, it's hidden.
It's hidden. Okay.
Joe will activate that again, but again, they'll need to go through it and make sure, because I think there's some stuff in there like service area that needs to be taken out. It doesn't go anywhere. So things like that, and we'll get that wrapped up in one meeting between whomever on CROA side and then our side. And then we should be good to go as far as that with tackling all of these that we're going to leave tonight with. Okay.
You were Tom on it.
I'm going to let can you bring up the presentation?
Brenda?
Yes.
Can you bring up that presentation that Tom sent over that's in the agenda package?
Yes, I can. Give me a few minutes because I need to find it and open it.
Okay.
So one of the challenges that you're going to is obviously to get this as seamless as possible. I know that trying to look at priority levels, trying to look at and see how we can do this. It's our priority levels are going to be different than pros, which is fine,
right?
Because we own our own spaces. And then the other thing is go live date. I think at this point, because we're right now the 16th of January, I think it's going to be February 1st. I think it's just a hardcore start we have to go to.
Yep.
Ready to say something? Oh no, she's on me.
Lauren or Charles, can you remind me the expiration date of the seller service? I thought it was April.
It's March, April, yeah.
So the sooner, February 1st is important because with any system that you go live with, you're going to have some issues that you might not have noticed, but as people are using it, you find little annoyances and people respond to, which is fine. That's any system. It will give us time to go ahead and clean that up. A lot of stuff is already being cleaned up, but I'm sure we'll find a few little anomalies. And then I think we're going to be we're trying not to run the system at the same time. I will tell you, I know you and I were working on this.
It's a pain.
Having two systems for anyone, whether it be on the CCD or CRO, is almost impossible. You're going to screw up. Just because both interfaces look very much the same, so you forget which one you're going to. So at least for us, I know we're going to have a hard
stop
cutover.
Date.
We're still going to go ahead and check seller service for a period of time.
Is our hard stop date the expiration of the contract?
I think it should be before that.
It should be before
I
that.
think it should wait. I think it should be before that. Because what's going to happen is at one point even those cell service tickets might come in for the CCDD, we're gonna close them and reopen them in GoGo. That's gonna be for a very short period of time, and then the community needs to move over.
So let me pause for a second, because I like, if I'm Joe resident, I'm putting in a ticket. I don't care if it's CDD or Crow. I want to know today it's this system, tomorrow it's this system, and if we're stopping earlier than they are or later than they are. Look, do you guys?
That's a good.
Have you guys had any thoughts of how far off of the expiration of the contract you want to try to transition?
The sooner the better, just in terms of messaging purposes. We were talking about today utilizing the push notifications and cell service. So once you guys have a hard cutoff date, we'll try to mirror that as much as possible and do either daily or every other day push notifications to cell service users saying, hey, please go to my celebration moving forward to input your service tickets.
Okay.
There's some things too that CROA will use this. Like we went through and what we talked about. Usually when you put in a ticket, you can assign it or it'll assign to, say, Russ. If it's street lights, it'll go to Todd Kendall. We're not going to use it that way because it doesn't really work for us, because the guys may not be able to check their email out in the field or what have you. So when the ticket comes in, Jacinia will print it out, and it's actually a pretty nice layout. It has a picture if they submit it, it has everything. And that's her work order that she created. That goes straight to the guys right when it comes in. They take it with them. Once it's complete, brings it back to her. She types in and closes out the ticket. So that's how we're going to use it. I believe they're going to use it a little differently, where it's going to be assigned to their people, you know. So there's going to be some differences in how we use it, but it shouldn't matter.
That's back at house.
Yep.
Yeah.
Residents.
And to the extent that we're going to operate differently, it's backside. I don't.
Yeah. That's
whatever works for us, whatever works for them. I'm just worried about the interface piece and when we start turning things on. And then I think my point is if we are thinking of doing a turn off date of cell service earlier than the expiration of the contract, when it's just going to get turned off anyway, I think that's all the more reason not to wait until February 1st of turning this thing on sooner rather than later. That's why you're going to need a certain window where, to your point, bugs are going to start popping up, right? It's going to take a week or two just for the community to start downloading and people to start putting things in. Then it may be 3 or 4 weeks before we really get consistent, repeatable. This is a problem. We need to change it, as opposed to, hey, we just got it once.
You're sounding like me.
It's already live. We just haven't put it out to the community. I mean, if we threw this on Facebook and said, hey, it's out there, you can download the app and put the instructions or send an e-blast out. I mean, we can get people using it, but it's going to be a while before everybody starts using it. And it's going to take a while before you get people to be in the mindset of going from that to this.
And I guess that's to my point of why I would, if we're at a point now where we think it's functional without being distracting, right? There's going to be some bugs in there, but I would just assume if we've got a short instruction thing that we talked about putting on a web page or whatever else, I just assume in this week.
We have a lot that Tom and I can look through. They sent us over a ton of however we want to roll it out. There's different instruction types. There's PowerPoints, PDFs. So we can sit down and decide which one we want to use. But there's a lot of them out there.
I don't think it's rushed. I think February 1st would be fine. It would be a time certain thing for us to do it.
And I think too with CROA, if they're still going to continue using Service, if tickets come in for the district, they can just forward them over to us. And then we can
through cell service.
No,
Are we trying to transpose?
They can just send them to
send an email.
Yeah. And Jacinia can take it and she can put it into GoGov just so we have the tracking mechanism.
Not GoGov.
I mean, my celebration, sorry.
We need a nickel in the jar.
Yeah.
Well, GoGov is the vendor.
Yes.
My celebration app is what the residents will call it, right? I mean, that's what it is. So
yeah.
So let's start. Let's go on to the first slide, the second slide. Just pretty much what we're looking at in terms of update with everything, resident communication. And this is more, I wouldn't say maybe not management process, but maybe like ticket or case process, and then transition. So let's go to the third slide. So when I wrote this, all known bugs have been addressed. I found a few more. So, and that is that I sent Angel, so she's looking at it. One is a big one for back of house on some of the cases where they got to address that immediately. So that's why they're going to have the meetings as soon as possible. Go ahead and address that. The Crow items, they're all there. It just needs to be switched on.
Right.
I think they need to be switched on sooner rather than later, just to have it up. And then we can do and then Crow can do a final review, making sure this is good to go.
When we say switched on, can they still see it from their administrative perspective?
Well, once we turn it on, they'll be able to. I don't know. I'm not a tech person. It's hidden somewhere. It's still there. The information is there.
They just hit them.
I didn't know if it took us 5 days to turn it on.
No.
It's very quick to turn it on.
Yeah.
It needs to be turned on.
So with the bugs, sorry. So who is, so that's all CDD, like if the resident finds it, that's all through you guys, they report it to you. So if it goes to the pro, we need to then funnel it to you.
Forward it over to us, and we would work with the vendor to go ahead and fix that.
Well, that's a good question though, because if we're running within the tool, we're running basically 2 separate platforms where they've kind of got their configuration, we've got ours.
Right.
Are they really forwarding it to us, or if it's a Crow thing within their?
We hold the contract, and I wouldn't want to put it on the vendor to deal with 15 different points of contact.
No, there could be somebody from Crow on the call too.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
But it would make sense as a single point of contact to address those issues. And that's one thing they have when they find things or something, anomalies or whatever, they've been pretty quick to address them. Because I gave you a boatload.
And we would always have someone from CROA on anything. If we're doing a training or an update or anything like that, we would have somebody from them, whether it's Jose or somebody on the call to be involved.
So any questions on this slide?
Nope.
With the data that we're taking in, I know a few people are putting in tickets right now. Is there anything that we would changing in what you're saying of fixing bugs or anything that would negate that data or throw it out, or is it just simply recategorize? The data's there, we're just kind of recategorizing.
The data's always there. It's just the way it's displayed.
Right.
It's the way somebody's using it. We noticed like maybe like a case was closed and they got reopened. Why did that happen? Because we didn't reopen it. So little things like that on back of house that we're seeing. The stuff that I saw visually for photos, for adding, just putting your own address in there rather than use the GeoService, because that wasn't working. That's been resolved.
So there's nothing we're going to change that's going to lose somebody's ticket right now.
No. Nope. We're just trying to prevent there's any issues from somebody entering a ticket easily. Because sometimes if you have 1 or 2 bad experiences, we will not use it again. So that's really want to do that. So.
And have we, I don't know if it's somewhere else in here, have we ported over, have they brought over all the legacy data from cellular services here? I know they were supposed to port over old.
I don't have a answer to that one.
Okay.
I don't remember
that was never supposed to be done.
That was,
to my knowledge, it wasn't.
Absolutely part of it. So the initial discussions.
No, the only thing that we were talking about importing over was CROA's stuff into the system, which did do that, but that was only employee, that kind of stuff. I don't ever remember taking Cella Services information and putting it into GoGov.
Legacy tickets and information and stuff.
I mean, I can ask them to do that.
Let's go ahead and ask.
I can see where we're going to get 3 months into this. And somehow that's going to be relevant information before Cella Service shuts down.
Well, we have time. Yeah. So we have time to go ahead and pull that data to go ahead and do that. But we'd have to ask them how ethical like sometimes some systems work really easily with that. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes it's a very manual process. So we'll have to find out.
Can you guys at least talk to Cella Service and figure out, will they do like a manual export into if they do like a CSV file or something, some sort of database file?
An all-time export right now into a CSV or
perfect. Okay, and then at some point, if we figure out how to ingest that, that's great. As long as we got a catch. Okay.
Like you're wanting back for forever? Like every bit of data they have in Cella Service, put it in here?
Push the button and she can save it into a permanent file, then great. And then we can find a way to integrate that later if we need it. I hate to throw out 7 years of data and all of a sudden realize
the mapping is the mapping is always the struggle. So when you import the data for everything to go ahead and map into the system, that's where the challenge is. That's where GoGov would have to assist us with that, because that's an ugly process for every system.
But if all the Acela stuff got export it to GoGov, will GoGov now look at it as a new ticket, and then all of these brand new
That's
tickets?
what
That would be one.
That's what we need.
they can mark them all as closed and just keep it in the
Right.
background. But then what are the dates that adjusted? Is it they keep the current date that it was closed,
Right.
whatever the
Or
existing
will
one,
it notify
or
them?
is it oh no, it's just the date you I don't know. So those are questions we can ask.
Yeah.
And Angel, I can be on that call. So.
But that was just so you guys know when we did the initial the board conversation with them back like last February, so before we bought into it. That was one of my questions about them importing full data, and they said absolutely they could do it. So
Okay.
if
So
we can without it being
we'll have time. We'll have time to get everything ready for the launch. Tell them to start working on that.
Focus is
After the launch, then we
Yeah.
go ahead. Okay, we've got 3
Yeah.
weeks to give them that timeline, and we can start doing that.
100%.
Next slide. So we do have instructions for GoGo on the CCD page right now. We'll be reviewing that as well, tweak that. I know there is some other training stuff that we have. I know that Lauren had asked about the videos. Were you able to?
Yeah, I don't have any videos. Do you have any videos?
You sent them to you.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because Jose created training videos at the request of the tech committee, so they're
Okay.
like 3 5-minute short videos.
And
Okay.
otherwise, just to have the people look. Not everyone use them,
Yeah.
but you just need the people that want to use it. They can go ahead and see it. So.
And are those agnostic to either CBD or PROA that
It's
resident
how
Joe
they-
can? Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Okay.
Okay.
CCD Facebook will be communicating the launch of the app from our side. We're limited to how we can communicate out. And then we do have to develop frequently asked questions. So if we can at least reduce the number of calls coming in to both Pro and CCD, that would be great. You know, I need to install it. Don't know what this is. Just whatever. We'll go ahead and create this.
And we say specifically on the webpage, which I agree with, because if somebody can't get into the app, they can at least get into our webpage.
Right.
But are we also doing them in the app so somebody can look at FAQs in the app?
Yeah, we're going to work on that, and I'm going to add one other piece to that. Not just FAQs, but another thing we want to add to the app. And I think we're going to add it. I think in general, because I think it'll protect CCD and Crow. But I'll get to that. We definitely want to utilize Crow's Monday Matters and Friday Flash. A lot of people read this, so we definitely want to start advertising. We'd have to figure out if we're doing the first, maybe not this week, but the next week to start advertising. Hey, it's coming, you know, that sort of thing. A lot of people read this, and some people a lot of people screen capture and post. Hey, did you see this? And so they can go ahead and grab that. I would think in the beginning, as anything, there's going to be more phone calls, not requests, because of this. Because when you have something new, it's unfamiliar, and they'll have calls. How do I do this? One of the biggest questions is when they create a new account. Does my account transfer from the other one? No, you can create a new account. You know.
Do we have a dedicated phone line or a menu or a phone system for my celebration?
Yeah, report them to Crow.
No, just
And then Crow forwards it back to you. That
Yeah.
part.
I already did
So that's how it works.
Cindy will get them, and she'll have all this information
How do you
where
get directly to her?
all the phones go to her.
Okay.
It's the general line.
Yeah, it's a general line. She'll have everything, and she can ask whoever she's talking to for an email address, and she'll have stuff on her computer that she can. I'm sending you a download right now, or this or that, whatever they need. She'll have all that ready.
To the point, though, I mean, if we're doing, you know, FAQs when you get into an app and hey, where do I find this? Where do I find that? That's all well and good. But FAQs of how do I download the app and how do I start?
Oh, all that.
I would include that in the Monday Matters class and just say, hey, here's the link for the download. Here's the 5 things you know to get right.
Yeah,
well,
that's the main page of it.
We could have something posted on the CCD website, on the Pro website, and it's just referring to those sites, right? It's gonna be the same.
Yep.
But I'm just saying that probably the easiest way, so you don't include all that in there. Hey, if you're having trouble logging in, you know, or frequently asked questions to include this, that, you go there.
You let them know the right colors on there, and
Dare we put it on the back porch?
No, people will do that. Okay. People will do that. You don't have to do that. I mean, town hall. So just so you know, town hall can go ahead and post in those areas when they go ahead, and people usually forward the town hall link onto those things. So I mean, people read all the sports, so if they want to go ahead and do that, I think that's.
Once we get a good crisp message out, give it 24 hours and we'll find its way home.
Oh, absolutely. So that's, it's called social media, Jack.
I think I listed a question from Charles.
Huh?
Well, I was gonna give, you were gonna offer me a magazine placement too until the sending comments back to Crow.
Yeah,
But it might be too late to do that.
No, we're in final editing.
Sorry. But I mean, that's, I would say for us, for Pro, like, we can talk about magazines like, outside H51. This is, I think, an area where we really probably help.
Yeah.
Last time it's pioneer messaging back out, what we have is up the digital display. Like,
Yeah, we'll put QR codes on the digital display.
Yeah,
For my
really,
celebration.
yeah.
And if you
Okay.
give me something by the end of the week, I can get it in the February magazine.
Yeah, I think we can really help with this, so we create a kind of surround sound experience.
And we may all be thinking this, but I just want to say it out loud. Is it easier if we just do something on our webpage and all things point back to one? That way, if there's a change, it's not, hey, Lauren, we have to change this word. It just, all links go back to one page and that's the list of where to go.
Yeah,
And it doesn't matter which one, as long as it's just one
As
list.
long as, yeah.
It just make it a lot easier for everyone.
yeah, as long as the message is consistent.
The gentleman in front.
Do we review the FAQs before?
Yeah, we could do that. We can include, why don't you, you give me a list of who you want to include, and when we can
Yeah,
just
we'd
do
like
it.
to see the whole list of FAQs and what the responses are going to be.
And I think honestly, that one's gonna be a bit of a live document.
I was
I
gonna say,
whatever
that's
we come
gonna
up with our
be,
first
yeah,
10,
very fluid.
We're gonna start getting residents.
And so we're gonna have to add, more as we're noticing there's strength on that.
Yep.
Okay.
The first set's just gonna be basic questions.
How do I log in?
How do
I
I
can
do it?
log in.
Where do I download?
Give me a half hour. I can come up with it. I do this all the time. So,
I would just point out that, so I was talking to a resident about this app, and he handed me his phone, and I tried to go to the App Store, and he had an Android phone.
Yeah.
And of course, I went to my celebration, and I couldn't find it. It was My Celebration FL.
yes.
Very important. Without
It
that
is
FL,
called-
you will not find
On
this
the
app.
Android it is.
Well, you
Okay, what?
no on Apple it is, but if you type in My Celebration, it comes up.
No, it did not.
Don't you use Google search on an Android? Wow.
I did it myself.
And that's fine. Well, we can be very specific about that. I don't know why it says FL, but there's got to be a reason why.
Oh, mine doesn't.
Sandra, what'd you come up with?
Oh, I'm slobbing in. Done.
I'm watching you on video. My own stuff.
If I just search My Celebration on an Android, it's not gonna pop.
And you're in the Google store?
Yes.
Mm.
Like
Do you
My
try
Celebration
FL?
FL, it comes up.
Yeah, My Celebration FL
Wow.
came up as an option. And yeah, I see it.
So I typed in my Cella and the whole thing came up.
I just typed My Space Celebration and then it just came up.
Yeah, once again, Apple.
You know, it should come up. I mean, when you start typing, it should.
It would be intuitive, but look who built it.
Well, anyway, but that is important
Easy.
information. And all we got to do is type in My Celebration FL on the Apple on the iPhone. It'll come up on the Android. Once you put all that, it'll come up. So it'll come up either way. Just need that. Okay. Anything else on slide 4? All right, go to slide 5.
I'm sorry, just on our page, are we creating a separate tab within our web page just for this? I think because we've got
It'll
like,
say
we've got this-
My Celebration. If you want to say My Celebration FL, we can do that. That way it's consistent.
Yeah,
And then if they click on that, it'll have everything listed. We can put links, videos.
Well, I was gonna
all
say
of it.
off of our main page, I think
Yeah.
we ought to have
I want to
a tab.
That's where it is.
Okay.
But GoGov doesn't work. You put that in there? Or
No. You because it's not. That's
They're the vendor.
They're the vendor. That's not the name of the app.
Yeah, I was just wondering, just in case.
No, that's it. Hey, listen.
Oh, yeah.
All questions make sense. When we forget everything that it's not good. Yeah, so we are going to need to help with that. Because right now it just says report an issue and it'll bring it all up. But all right. So one of the things we need to do in the beginning is, both management on both sides need to review all the incoming tickets. We need to make sure, number one, they're coming in. And reviewing the tickets also means that they're coming in completely. We're not missing anything in the ticket. you know, where maybe it just says one thing and we're missing a field, just to look. And then producing a weekly report to kind of look at how effective is everything going, right? Or is this something where we need to communicate to residents, do something differently? I can tell you right now, boy, residents do not put a lot of information in their tickets. You know, they put the basic stuff, and it's very hard to find. I mean, light is out on street.
And it's just a black.
And they
it's
take
just
a picture.
black
They take
picture.
a picture of the light at night, and guess what? It's completely black. And I'm like, really? So it's just the way it is.
I mean, are we able to on here just make it as a mandatory field of
well, it'll take the okay. So when you go into the app, it'll use the geolocation, but there is an option to put your own address in.
In case somebody has the geolocator, like I don't leave mine turned on.
Right.
I want to make sure that if the app can't automatically pull the geolocation off of
it has to be right.
So somebody is required to key in, like they can't submit a ticket.
I think it's like that now, where if you don't put anything in there, it doesn't.
There's certain fields that if you don't fill them out, it won't let you go any further.
Street lights would be good because they're all numbered.
Yeah, we just need to look and make sure which ones, what fields they are, make sure they're the right fields.
And you can manually pin it too. I mean, you don't have to have geolocation.
Well, my big thing is I move it out of celebration, so I got to be careful. So sure, you can easily move it off.
I did it.
Pin where the problem is.
Yeah. So, in this, Greg, I think this comes to you in terms of one of the things I said is each ticket must have an update every 5 days, but I think it depends on the issue,
right?
On the level of it. I mean, if you have a level 1 issue where a branch is just blocking the entire road,
yeah, health and safety is going to be #1 priority. Those will be addressed immediately, at least on our side. I would assume the same on CROA. And then you have stuff like street lights. We would hope to get those within 24 hours. Russ, 48 hours. So
it's
just
about
different
no
things.
more than 2 days.
Yeah.
Well, and that's
2 business days out. Right?
Except on the boulevard where the 5 or 6 lights go out, it's Duke Energy and Breath of Mercy Duke.
Yeah.
So I mean, what I sent for again, just as recommendation, I went through the past, I think 6 months of our agendas, and anything which was a repeat issue of things that we get for tickets that you're reporting in your field management report. I put them on here just as a list of things. So I mean, anything from roadkill to sprinklers to boardwalks to cleaning, sidewalk repairs and stuff like that. And I tag just an idea of the number of days. I mean, I think that's all up for discussion with us, for expectations.
And we went through all these, and they're all very reasonable as far as what you have on here.
So the one good thing about this is there is a lot of communication that has to happen with residents. If we need more information, can we provide more information? But the goal is to not have these tickets go on and on and on with no communication now. Because one of the feedback, if you read the back porch, and I do, is I haven't heard back.
Yes.
I left a message or I told them and I haven't heard back. Yep. And from a customer service perspective, that's not good.
Yep.
So there is value in the back porch check to get this type of information. This is what they're experiencing. So
do we want to go through these now and adjudicate these, or do we want to hold this till the end? What do you want to do?
Let's hold this to the end.
Okay.
And go through this because these are just this is very manual. Go to the next slide, quick. So this is at one point when we end cell service, there's still going to be tickets in cell service, right? When you're saying, okay, we're done right now. We want to make sure nothing is lost, right? So if there's open tickets, those need to be closed and reopened, you know, in my celebration. It has to be open, and then we don't lose anything. Then people can't access that anymore. So we move forward. And we still have to watch, even though, okay, here's the cutoff date, we need to make sure nothing else is being open, that residents don't have any access to. One of the things I talked to Angel about, and we discovered this when we were doing training, there needs to be, I think, a terms of service in the My Celebration app when you sign up, because the thing is people can take any picture of anything. They can write anything they want in those areas. And I think that you kind of need to hold people accountable, right? Because we have to deal with, for us to deal with their staff, we have to deal with our staff. So just saying that, we're asking for things to not be, everything needs to be decent, let's put it that way.
I mean, there's a disclaimer. I know anything that's tagged as a CDD issue now under cell service has a disclaimer on the bottom that, hey, by submitting, you're going to a public agency, therefore it's public records, blah, blah, blah. I know that's not what you're getting.
I'm kind of holding people a little bit accountable for their actions because
have we had a problem? And I'm okay with that, but if we had a problem with people,
no, this is making sure we don't have a problem.
Okay.
If you don't give the warning, people are,
Yeah.
There hasn't really been an issue. It's just been like spam submissions where it's like fake emails. People are submitting tickets under like random.
So poor, they're going to take time to submit tickets.
I've had a few of them. Yeah. So if there's something that can like flag them, like this isn't a real, like just how the pictures are black. Like if it can.
Right.
Just let them know like your picture's too dark.
Well, I think we need to put on there, in order to report a street light out, all they need to do is look at the pole number. All we need is the pole number.
Well, but I mean, there's different things.
When it's dark, it's hard to read the numbers.
Yeah. I mean, it's different talking in an ineffective submittal of, hey, somebody put it in this black picture and they intended to do the right thing, versus somebody who went in and
some mischievous type stuff.
Thank you.
So you're seeing people take emails, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, there's been a few.
But how do they even register then?
I don't know.
Well, it's easy. As long as you have an email address that you put in, it takes it.
I can go to Gmail right now and make up a fake email.
Yeah.
I use your name all the time.
I can make one and point it right directly back to you.
So,
but the thing is that I think we're foolish not to have something like that.
I don't think it's a bad idea to say, hey, if we find that you're not using this as and we can find some lawyer, but if you're not using it as intended and you're sitting here intentionally being mischievous, we use that word, then yeah, we've got the right to kick you off the app. I don't think there's any reason. Yeah.
We had to kick somebody off the cell service because they were using it to harass other residents.
Really?
That's
what I'm talking.
Yeah.
It could be that. It could be anything.
Well, why didn't you just say that?
I think I did.
No, you didn't.
I was more clear. You bought me Starbucks, but you didn't.
Or you could also have like a field under for like a light pole number option. So that way they have an idea, like if they see a light pole next time.
I don't know if you can do that, because if you click on light pole, you have to now have another entry field, because all the entry fields are the same.
Well,
we
can put something because we can add drop downs.
I mean,
from our side, we don't even need them to do it.
Light pole numbers, or you guys?
Yeah,
tremendously.
Tells what village it is to start with.
I don't know.
Then they've got the maps.
Does cell service ask for pole numbers specific?
But when you take a picture, you know to take a picture.
Yeah.
And even at night, use your flash. It works.
Oh, stop making that.
Stop making
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't know that the light poles have numbers. So if they have the idea that light pole number is an option to submit a ticket, then they'll look for it instead of taking a dark picture of it.
Well, and that could easily
that might be
as well.
Right.
Yeah.
For the FAQs.
You know,
and that's what say for each
Yeah,
type of thing
okay.
we submit, whether it's a light pole or a sidewalk. I'm sure sidewalks, you get a picture of concrete. Hey, look, the sidewalk's broken. The sidewalk's out. So I think for each one of the FAQs, there's probably something good we can.
You'd be surprised how many pictures of a broken sprinter.
Yeah, exactly.
Celebrate Boulevard.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's only 2 miles long.
Yeah.
I'll try
all
better.
done.
Sorry.
But those are the things I think as you're looking at, as you start to dive into the specific subfields, hey, I'm putting in a light pole, or I'm putting in an irrigation thing. That's where we should be able to create those different data fields for when we go into the light pole one. Hey, I can get a light pole number field.
Yeah, and that might be an FAQ we want to highlight. And you can also do, I know on some of the stuff, there's a little information thing that you can click on. Hey, make sure you know, harder to do it on the app than it is to do on the computer screen,
But I mean, aside from the FAQs, even before that, have we showed it to Russ to say, hey, in the light pole one, let's add a field for this. Hey, on the irrigation one, you know, they're not numbered, but are there
there's mandatory locations on everything.
Okay.
Right. But the light pole thing is really the big one for somebody to go ahead and add it. And maybe if they don't add it, You can't make them add it because if they took a picture, why would they add it
But you
twice?
can get a warning message.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
this might delay.
There you go.
You know, the good news is that if it comes back, you know, and you can't view it, you will ask the customer in the app, hey,
Yeah,
could you
provide more.
give me a little more info?
Right.
So, and they'd appreciate that.
Some of the
you know?
numbers are hard to read, so I would, don't make that feel mandatory.
No, definitely not. Just
I don't think
for
you
sure.
can because if they already took it seems it's mandatory and if it entered twice, they're gonna I just took a picture of it. What do you mean I can't? And it's easier to take the picture for accuracy than it is to read it. That makes any
Yeah,
sense.
I mean, even if when I print out a picture and I show them, they're like, "Oh yeah, that's at the corner of whatever," and I'm, how the heck did you know that? So
Because
sometimes I'll
they're
make
pretty
corner,
good at
yeah, like they know
Scary.
exactly who it is.
Yeah.
Well, that's Tom's house.
Yeah.
Again. um, that's all I have, Greg, and I think we might want on to get in the nitty gritty.
No, let me pause there before we shift gears. I mean,
Yeah,
that was a lot to digest. So, any other? I mean, my stuff. What I wrote up was specifically service level agreements for CDD of what our expectations were for specific elements. I mean, the only general comment that would I think would apply to everything is I would like to see a. I don't know if my celebration does it organically or if we have to do it separately through like a survey monkey. I would like to see a survey go out with each ticket. You know, just 3 very basic questions. You know, was it addressed in time? Do you like the app? Did the app work well? That type of thing.
Can we wait for a little bit to do that? Like, don't do that right at the beginning.
Because you're gonna get
We're going to be inundated with surveys that, and it's going to take a minute to get it worked out on both sides. And instead, we're going to be combing through these surveys that are like, this app sucks. This is not working. This does work, you know. So if you give us a little bit of time, then I think that's great because I think we can get feedback from that.
I might be able to get more honest feedback.
And maybe even specific questions too. You know, are you seeing this? What was your experience? Is it working for you? Did you get a response? That kind of stuff. But
I hear you. Let me play the converse of that though. If there is a legitimate issue, what's the easy way for me as Joe resident without having to, okay, it's in the app. Now let me go figure out who I email because this thing in the app legitimately sucks and doesn't work. Like how are we, if not through something like that, like the upfront time is the time to iron out those bugs.
They would call us like they do now.
Which is if you're in the app, you can go to each entity.
And it gives you all the phone numbers, everything.
Right there.
Yeah. You actually just have to click on it and it'll call it for you.
Right now, today, how cell service works, if there was an issue with cell service, they're probably calling town hall.
Yeah.
Do you guys, and we've had cell service for a long time, so it's probably not apples to apples comparison. Do you guys get a lot of phone calls of, I don't know, the Joe resident just moved here and has never touched it before? Is there a lot of confusion or is it pretty intuitive?
We have it in our welcome packet, so when people come in to get their IDs, we give them the information and point them to it.
Okay.
We've had some issues out in Island Village, so we've gotten a couple of calls because some of it didn't populate.
Yeah.
It wasn't included in the original mapping, so we got calls around that, but not a lot.
Okay. I hear you. I don't want us to have to go comb through 100 tickets.
I'm not saying we shouldn't do it. I would just
service.
wait for it to be out, maybe even just 30 days and then start doing it. I mean, we can do whatever. But that was just my suggestion.
Residents do know what's going on there.
Well, and,
Yeah.
and too, like, you're gonna be able to rate this out too, so there's also an argument too to like, quicker you get the feedback in, the more likely they're gonna rate it a 4 or 5 versus getting in there and just giving it a 1 or 2, and then that's the way people from downloading it.
Again, I'm thinking from Joe residents' perspective, how many times, and I hate to keep bringing up Facebook and back porch, but how 5,000 of our residents live, is they're gonna look at a tool and they're gonna say, boy, this thing isn't the right shade of green, or boy, I wish it didn't go here, it went there. And if we don't make it easy for them to have a mechanism to report it, if we have to say, go call this phone number, you know damn well somebody's going to take, instead of taking the 30 seconds to call, they're going to take the 30 minutes to write some long-winded.
Well,
And we won't have fixed the issue. So food for thought.
Well, number one, let me address that. You're gonna have the 4 or 5 people that are gonna hate anything different, and they're gonna badmouth for 6 paragraph.
It's only 4 or 5.
Well, they're maybe,
Yeah,
or could be, or yes, right? You're gonna have that if the app is perfect to begin with, right? Because that's just what we do.
I'm not worried about that.
Well, I'm not worried about that. If it's constructive stuff, definitely can get it addressed. But we have email that they can send it to. They have phone calls they can call, which they do now, right? And so we can do a survey, but then now we're going to have to filter out if we get 100 responses, the 10 real responses. So I don't know if there's a benefit. I'm 50-50.
Yeah, so my suggestion, I think, would then be for the FAQs, at least up front for the first 30 or 60 days, let's put in the FAQs, if you have suggestions on how to include
this is what you need to do.
This is how you contact us and let us know. Yeah. So separately though, is it a function within the tool to be able to do a survey that's all encompassing?
So then we'd have to ask that.
Okay.
We'd have to ask that.
Okay. If not, we need to, like I said, look at the survey one, something, and then that's all me. So how do you do that? Right? Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, a survey piece is in there, but we'll have to.
Yep.
Okay, not knowing what the nitty gritty is that we're about to see. This app has a lot of, we should say the back end of the software has a lot of reporting metrics. Yeah. Very powerful reporting metrics. It's very impressive. How often are you going to look at those metrics? I'm speaking for John, I mean for John Weber right now. One of the reasons that we recommended that we support this and Crow go to it is that the timely resolution of reported issues. To know that, we'd like to have these metrics reported and be a partner in deciding which metrics that you're going to look at, and also have access to those metrics, the management access to the metrics, so that we can see how well it's working.
So generally, for any of these systems to work, you have management directly looking at these weekly. They'll generate a report weekly. You also have the monthly report because you want the board to go ahead and review it monthly as well. And then you do a quarterly. And then you can do a whole yearly one to look at that. But the reports are very important, not just to see what activities are going on, but for us and for Crow and budget season, wow, it just seems like everyone is opening these 2 tickets on this area, whatever, so we can make those decisions. Where I work, there's a daily report that runs in, but it's only for like P1s. It's only for, the really massive ones. With us, I don't know if it's really necessary because it's not like we're getting trees falling every day, right? So the weekly might suffice for something like that. But it's for management to go ahead and look at, we're tackling this. Oh, no response. These 3 have no response. What's going on here? That's something for management to look at. We haven't created the reports yet. So it's something that we have to work on because we need those like right away when we go to launch because we need to record those, especially if there's other issues we need to see.
So Tom, to your point, as I was kind of looking through this and looking at the presentation and typing my notes, I 100% agree. I think the reason I delayed in putting any thought or too much thought into the reports is one, there's going to be a large degree to which these are canned right out of the tool. Here's what you get, and any manipulation you want. That's be a little bit extra effort, it's worth the effort. But also, right now, my focus is really on how do we start getting the data and how do we get it. I think we absolutely need to have a conversation on reports out. I haven't taken the time to get my head around how I'd like to see it, and I haven't played around with what's just a preset statements right there.
They have a bunch of canned reports.
Yeah, and I think I'd like to look at those first before I start saying, hey, let's customize stuff if we can.
No, I agree with it because a lot of times it stays no response. There's another one with whether they're even touched, are they still open, and it can also give you alerts in terms of it's been past this, whatever our SLA we've established, it's past this.
Right.
It'll give you can look at it going, right in the morning, you're like, we got to address these right now.
Yeah. So
those are the ones I think from the day-to-day, the customer service piece is what has to be active, I think, day one.
Yeah.
And going off the shelf on these is perfectly fine because it's not until you use it you realize, no, we're really going to have to change this. This is where you would fine tune it. And we might even notice that when we get our quarterly, our monthly reports or whatever, we're like, not seeing, right, and that's where it's going to come out.
Well, and even not just for our board packets is what we would get as far as monthly written reports, but do we want to be in? It's a rhetorical question. I'm not expecting an answer right now. But do we want to be in the escalation chain where, hey, if we agree that the streetlight's fixed in, say, 3 days, on day 4, Russ is getting an email. On day 7, Angel's getting an email. On day 10, you're getting an email.
Right.
Do we want to do that? It's rhetorical, but that's the kind of stuff I'm trying to think of.
And we probably would do that on only certain priority levels. Right. On certain ones, when you get a level 1 or level 2 type alert.
Yep.
Then that is like, oh gosh, how did this fall? And it's tricky because you could have something long running that opened up as a level 4 and we moved to a level 2.
Right.
And you're like, oh, we're past. No, it just switched. So there's a lot of,
and that's part of, I think, the reason I say with Tom is I don't know that we're really going to get our heads around that until we start seeing data and tickets come in.
It is a process, but we
it.
do have to have some reporting right at the beginning. Otherwise, we're gonna. I think PROA and CCD will fail without looking at those things.
Yep.
Just having it right in the beginning.
I think too much is going to be better than too little.
Yeah.
So will they have admin access to
For PROA stuff? Yeah.
For PROA stuff?
Right. The way it's set up is you have your main admin, which is what the CCD holds.
Right.
Yeah. And then underneath that, you have the CCD part.
Yeah.
All our systems and everything else, and PROA has their admin parts. The two don't connect. So the admins have controls over their respective areas, and they can run their reports separately. They can do all that. They can't. We can't go ahead and sit and find out what the stuff grows. We can't because we don't have admin access there.
Okay.
Yeah, there'll be one admin access for them.
We got enough stuff.
And they can change stuff on the back end as well. Like if they want to add a section or take somebody out of the system or put somebody in, they'll have that access, same as we will to do that.
So all the things that Greg enumerated, problems outstanding for 3 days get escalated to this person. It's already in the software. It's already exists.
We just have to figure out who we want to go where with.
We're just putting the names.
Set the thresholds.
Yeah.
So number 2, earlier you reported that bugs had been fixed, right? I submitted 9 bugs myself. Personally, I don't know how many additional bugs were submitted by other people for. I've never received any feedback to know if or are they still open or are they closed? You said they're closed.
When you say you submitted a bug to where?
Decent problem. To Angel.
Okay.
And then they went to GoGov.
Okay.
I mean, I was in the meeting. GoGov.
Right.
Yeah, everything that has been reported, everything that was reported to us, whether it was to Tom, to myself, or Jasenia, those we got on, those have all been fixed. However, like Tom just said, he noticed 5 more.
Yeah.
So those.
And then we're back of house.
Yeah. And those were more things we can change back of house. I don't need to go back to GoGov with, but all of those things have been worked out. But again, if you're seeing something else that maybe wasn't reported before, please let me know.
Well, there's that part of it. We'd like to see some feedback. If we submit a bug report, and as you said, in fact, we talked about it, make them P1s, P2, P3s, exactly the same terminology. Right. Depending on the magnitude. Some things are not that important that we really have to fix.
Some are cosmetic.
Right.
You don't like
we would like to see as partners feedback as to where we stand on those bug reports, right? They've been submitted. It was a one-way thing. We never saw anything at the time we submitted them.
So we can
they couldn't fix them, but they fixed them since, and we I have no clue whether they're fixed or not. Rather than me go out and duplicate the problem and see if it's still there.
No, that actually makes sense. So, Angel,
I think where that dropped through was when CROA decided they weren't going to be a part of this. So we kind of took everything CROA out of it and left it. But I can get you that.
And the second part of that is, like you found some new bugs and I found some new bugs myself. Right. Okay. I would like a mechanism, or I would like management to have a mechanism to report bugs. And then a feedback mechanism to say where we stand.
We need to maintain a bug report on an Excel spreadsheet at the very least to track it. We need some sort of tracking stuff because if they encounter some stuff, we need to track it. And I think, like you said, maybe place a category on it. This is minor, or this is a showstopper. This one is it's preventing people from whatever, and then we can go ahead and work with GoGov on those. That way we're not managing through email.
Okay.
So I think that makes sense. I think it's a good point.
So is the bug report, just to pull that through a little bit more, is that going to also be inclusive of anything where a resident may email CROA staff or our staff, and all of a sudden it bubbles up and we'll say, yep, this is a problem we need to handle. It'll include those as well.
If it's a bug.
Okay.
So if the resident did something wrong, no. I mean, it has to be certain criteria.
Well, but not just bugs, but also, hey, it's functional. We really don't want it. We don't want that shade of green, shade of purple.
Well, right, but
so that's not a bug.
That's not.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Well, it depends if it prevents function, right? If because now you're getting to accessibility, right? In certain colors,
but
and stuff. So
I guess my suggestion would be if we're for the communication with GoGov, with the company,
right?
For the nickel the jars, whether it's a bug or a modification or anything else that we are agreeing is going to change, particularly to the extent that it affects CROA, I would think whether it's on a shared portal of just, hey, we're going to put them on a SharePoint page, and the GoGo folks have access to see, okay, yeah, here's what it is, and they can document it. I'm trying to think of a way to get the communication so that it's not all roads leading to Angel, and she's having to look at her inbox. I know she's been sitting in my inbox for a day.
Well, but we can create this to see, which party is owning that particular bug or enhancement request, right? We can go ahead and do that. And so those are the ones we can do.
To Dom's point, I don't want to choke the information, especially in the first 30 years.
No. I think more information better, so we all have it out there. But I think and again, there's a fine line between a bug and we'll get to it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's a nice to have, but we'll see.
Yep.
In the beginning, it's going to be functional. It just needs to be functional. So.
Great.
So let's talk reporting a little bit more. I mean, just staying on that topic, is there any other thoughts? I mean, obviously your reporting is going to be for you guys.
They can create any reports they want on their end, whatever they're looking to get or do. And the same with us, whatever the reports the board wants to see, we'll add that into like that kind of field report tracking thing that you get.
Are there sample reports that you think that you, since you two kind of,
well, I think the biggest one
that we would want to take a look at to start with?
I think the biggest one you want to see is our tickets being updated, closed out in a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah.
Right? That's the number one thing that you want to make sure. And then you kind of go from there.
The other thing too is I know CROA and the CCD are going to get resident, and which is not bad, right? Just for whatever reason. But looking at the ticket will determine, is this a resident complaint or not, right? And so those reports, if we're getting negative feedback, attaching it to the case and reading it is going to be the deciding factor. Whether we're just saying it's just a new system they don't understand, or they're just angry, or no, there is an issue, right? There really is an issue. We this went through the cracks that we got to fix. But most of those we're probably going to address GoGo right away that we got to fix. Again, and those are functional showstoppers.
I don't imagine any of those are going to bubble back up to a board level. I imagine you and Angel are going to be able to adjudicate those. There's nothing that major that'll be out there. No, mine was more towards 4 reports that we would want either in the board packet or in hey, we want a weekly report that shows these 3 canned reports. I don't know what's available.
Yeah, I mean,
so I don't know if you can send out some of the templates, or if you can give us access that we can go in and take a look inside the tool. Like an inside that we can see.
I can give you a list of the reports that are available. Another one you probably are going to want to see is how many tickets did we get this month, right? How many tickets came in? And then we could even break them down by category if you want to get really granular on it.
Category, service level, time to resolution.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the most basic.
Those are the ones you really probably want to pay attention to.
If there's a template, you can send out like samples of that, and we can take a look.
I'll look in there and see what options there are for reporting. I mean, the reporting can be as extensive as you want it, or it can be as simple. So I'll go
when it's too much. You're going
to get lost.
It's not useful.
Yeah. So. Okay. Any other reporting questions, thoughts, concerns, ideas?
I had a question. So on the levels of reporting, if it's like major, if it's not that major, will that part be visible to the resident when they report?
They're not getting
no, that's just internal.
That's internal.
That's a tool for us.
That'll be how you respond, right? Because you're going to have a list of this is a priority. Health and safety is like priority one. You're going to get the guys out on those immediately. You're going to respond immediately, and they should have that back to you that day so you can close out the ticket. So you're going to have those priorities to see how you can respond, right?
But now,
There's an option, sorry, there's an option for them now to put normal, high, low, and there's also an option that says.
They the residents or
yes,
yeah.
Whoever's inserting a ticket. And again, if I'm a resident and I see something, I'm going to put high.
Well,
because
most
I
come
want it
in
done.
as normal, and then there's a complaint option. Is it a complaint? Is it a question? Is it a report? Like stuff like that that is on their end where it's not necessarily, oh, I'm reporting a street light out, but I'm complaining that the sidewalk has been lifted for a month and nothing's been done.
Okay.
So they don't really see that stuff like that maybe has been reported in the past, and they're making a new report. So it's like little stuff like that.
they won't look to see if something has been already reported.
Right.
Now, I could see at one point on websites to go ahead and say we received this many tickets and we closed this many, we have this many. I mean, it's not a bad thing to have. But I don't think we're there yet.
But I think to your comment, can we turn off from the user side, the resident side, can we turn off their prioritization?
Because I've printed out like an example of a work order just to see what it looked like, and the priority level is on there on both ends, on our end and theirs. So
well,
even
they
if
can see the priority level, they shouldn't be able to assign the priority.
And they do.
They do.
So the priority level is determined by
us,
the category they choose.
Right.
That's what it should be.
So we could turn it off.
So I mean, my suggestion of what I had when I put together my list, my thought was we would actually, once we agree on this between staff and the board, we would actually publish the list of, roadkill should be addressed within 3 days, but and actually have that as a published thing. They're not assigning that; they don't have any input on that. But at least that way, from an expectation perspective, they know that, hey, listen, if we're not addressing, where I put sidewalks repairs, if it's a non-emergency thing for 20 days, that, hey, they're not, even because there will be residents that are copying me on day 2 saying, hey, they haven't fixed the sidewalk yet. Hey, take a look. The agreement is we're going to assign these for 20 days. Right.
The other thing too is management at any time should have the availability to change the priority level. For whatever situation, right? If they determine, oh my gosh, we have 52 roadkills in this area. Okay, what happened? We need everybody out there. That's
my draft was. We're getting
what? Why is that funny?
52 roadkill.
Jack must have been out driving in his nap running over
on Valentine's Day.
All right, so let's go into the SLA conversation then for a second. So you're 100% right. My intent for the list was these are normal tickets, so when I say, hey, there's a sidewalk that needs to get repaired. Well, obviously if the sidewalk, has opened up a sinkhole and somebody's going to fall in there 10 feet and, break a leg, obviously we're not going to wait 20 days to do it, or hey, if an entire boardwalk is taken out in a hurricane, I'm not expecting it to be fixed in 3 business days. These are kind of the standard types of repairs that are at discretion.
Anytime someone reports a sidewalk, that is immediate. We have to go out and address it immediately because it's been reported.
Right. But there are times when you're like, oh, that's not a sidewalk repair. That's what happened, right?
Yep. So
I mean, the one I'm going to send you.
Thanks.
You all have the list. I mean, we can go down line by line on these. You can take a look at them. I didn't look at it.
I did look at these. These seem pretty much.
They're all reasonable.
Yeah. I didn't use the phrasing priority 1, priority 2, but that's kind of how they ended up with 1 business day, 3 business days, 5 business days, that type of thing. So if we want to bucketize it into priorities.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, for example, sidewalk repair, 20 business days, right? But in the description, there's a lot of detail. This became here, 3 people, whatever, right? It's management's call. We need to review it, and we're going to change priority level on it. That's how that process works. This is the estimated. It's best effort, right? It's best effort.
Well, and on a sidewalk as an example, I would imagine if it's going to take you guys a week or 2 to go fix a sidewalk, but you realize, hey, it really isn't. It really is a hazard out there. You're going to go cone it off, and that's going to take you 1 day, but it may take you 2 weeks to actually fix the thing.
Right.
So, So, I mean, with that initial block, then I guess in the second bullet point that I've got, does anybody have any questions, thoughts, complaints, and really Russ and Angel for you guys? I mean, you say these are reasonable. I just want to make sure.
Under mosquito, you need to change that assigned to pond company. It's to the mosquito company.
Oh,
You copied stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm always leery about giving the customer these like specific time frames. You know, that can cause a lot of problems because you just never know what's going to happen. But internally, yeah. But just to give it out to the public, I'm not sure.
Well, but I think there's a disclaimer to have somebody say, listen, this is best effort, because if there's something else that happens.
These are our targets.
These are targets. No, I get it.
Yeah. There's certain lights that are out that we have to order that aren't even in. So if a resident's giving us 10 days to fix a light, so we have lights in order. So that's where we communicate with the resident.
So usually for things like this, like you said, street light, 3 business days, right? That's for us to open the case, look at it. If additional parts, resolution is not going to be in 3 business days because we don't know what we're walking into.
Well, I mean, I did tag them as resolution.
We might have to change.
And that's why I say these are subject to, hey, shortage on light bulbs. Right. Obviously, we're not going to meet that agreement, but to Cassandra's point, and I appreciate that. I'm looking at the flip side of trying to, I don't want to say protect, but set reasonable expectations for the community to say, hey guys, if you don't hear from us, and if it's a 10-day expected resolution time, and you don't hear from us on day 2, read the list. It's because we're saying in the normal world, we're expecting to handle this in 10 days.
Under normal conditions.
On day 10, if it's not resolved, you're going to get an email from us saying, hey, you need to order light bulbs.
So I would change sidewalk repair from 20 days to 30 days for panel replacement, not the grinding. And then tree trimming, I definitely would go out longer than 10 days because it depends, right? If it's
right? Is that just like, say one branch that needs trimmed or something?
I just labeled it.
Right.
This is a non-emergency tree trim. If somebody says, hey, there's a branch hanging out over a sidewalk.
We should be able to do that in 10 days.
Yeah, but if they're saying, when are all the trees on my street going to be trimmed? That's in bright view.
That's a general question.
Well, and that's why I labeled this one the ones not handled by the tree vendor. These are the out of cycle ones that Russ and crew go out and handle as one-offs.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everything else, Russ, seemed.
Can you see? Do you want my boxes?
Roadkill, yeah, we know about it, we pick it up right away. Got 2 possums today.
You mean you pick them up or you hit them?
Good eating. Someone hit them and we picked them up.
Good job, Jay.
Trash pickup, we do that every day.
Yeah.
Broken furniture, if we know about it, we're gonna remove it the same day.
Okay.
Maybe put 2 days on there, or just leave it at 3.
You just leave it at 3.
Yep.
Sprinkler issues, 3 days, no problem. Boardwalk repairs, minor, 3 days. Street lights, pothole. I don't. Like, I mean, the only thing would be nice is the sidewalk replacements, 30 days instead of 20.
Yeah,
30 just in case we get 4 or 5 called in the same week.
Yep.
I don't know if everyone's aware of it. Sometimes it takes us 4 or 5 days in one spot just for the roads.
Depending on what the situation is.
So other than that, everything else looks good.
30 days means 6 weeks.
These are 30 business. These are all business days, correct? Not calendar days. And I'm going to trust that each, in any one of these, setting is going to be the first one to open up the tickets. If she looks and hey, it's a tree branch, and all of a sudden she realizes, oh my God, it's a tree branch right in front of a bus stop where the thing's barely dangling off. We'll go. Of course, you guys are going to go out and handle that. Anything that's a life safety hazard, you guys are going to take a 30-day and make it a 1 day.
Thing that we want, was it Saturday? The branch up there by your neighborhood. It's in the road. Juan did pull it out. No, it was Monday.
Yeah, it was, where it was.
And Juan goes, he's doing trash. He doesn't have all the tools. I said, just make sure we're not blocking the sidewalk and we'll get it Tuesday morning. So a whole extra day.
Again,
but we got it out of the way.
Well, that's the point, to get it out of harm's way, and then it doesn't look good. We're going to finish it.
Well, and I think with this list too, my intent was, hey, let's agree on something as a starting point. 6 months from now, we're gonna relook at this list, or we're gonna look at the data of how quickly you guys actually can address stuff. And if it's unrealistic to think you're gonna fix a light bulb in 3 days, it's gonna take 5, and guess what? We're gonna change it to 5 days because I want these to be realistic expectations.
Right.
So,
and that'll be a good tracker for us for the first 30, 60 days.
yeah. For the external ones, stuff to go to landscape or pond mosquito. Do those look, I mean, all of my tag is the same thing. You guys would assign it within 24 business hours to the contractor.
The treatment applied is required allowable within 5 business days. That is definitely, I wouldn't put that because
they might not be able to do it.
They might not be. They may have.
Well, that's what I say. As they're allowed.
They just may have been here and then they can't treat for another, 30 days or they only, that kind of stuff.
And that's why I say, the same thing with mosquitoes. They can't over treat like
correct
DEP stuff. But if they can treat, is it realistic to expect that they would do that within 5 business days after they've been notified?
I think so. I mean, they're both vendors that you currently have are very responsive. And if it was just treated, we can update that as part of the note saying
this was just treated.
We've notified the pond vendor.
We'll keep the case open, but next update is going to be on this.
They can't treat until So I think that's fine.
Okay. And then, so then beyond just those basic agreements, number one, is there anything we think we're missing? I just went, like I said, I went off for 6 months. Are there any items on here you think we want to put SLAs against it?
I don't think so.
Well, what's missing here is landscaping.
Okay.
I guess the minor landscaping.
Yeah. And that's just, hey, if they missed a mow area,
I'm just talking about whole area died. That's going to be longer. I don't think you can put it.
No, and I'm just talking. The landscaping bullet on here is minor stuff. Hey,
you're not going to
major stuff is it's going to be.
If it needs to get replaced, that's a project.
Yeah, you're not going to cover everything, or this list would be 5 miles long.
Yeah.
On your website, so I think you covered the basic stuff, which I think is good.
Street sweeping isn't.
Street sweeping. Oh, that is a big one actually.
People complain that out of cycle. Or
no, just people are like, I just blew off my driveway. Why hasn't the street sweeper?
Right.
And the proper response should be, you're supposed to pick up stuff that was in your driveway.
Right. It's not like
remove it by yourself.
Like, hey, I noticed that this has been sitting here for a week. Street sweeping hasn't. And then I'll go quickly to the vendor. Hey, this person, this, and they're like, no, we were there at 9 a.m. What?
Yeah.
And the cars were there. They didn't move. So it's you're just looking.
I know they filed this time. Do we have a street sweeping schedule in our website?
It's on the website and a map.
No, I know he's been going on sometimes Saturdays because on a Friday it's raining.
Yeah, he'll make up days. He's done some extra sweeps in here and there as well.
But I wouldn't think there'd be any circumstances where we would call him in for an extra sweep based on a resident request. We're doing that. Because hurricane came through.
The only time we do extra requests is per board direction. That's the only time we would do that.
And there's a particular locations that we know.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep. Okay. Other than that, I think it's good.
Then the next one was update notification. So if the standard timeline isn't met, then within 24 hours of us missing it. So if we got 5 days to do a light, as an example, then no later than Christmas Day 6, somebody from staff is sending out a note saying, hey, we realize we missed the 5-day window, but we're waiting on a light, or we got inundated.
Parts are in.
Whatever. Is that, again, more for you guys? Is that reasonable within 24 hours?
Both our electricians were on vacation at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's ridiculous.
Which should never happen.
It shouldn't happen.
I saw the hairy eyeball.
They got everything.
So just curiosity, so do you get, if we set these timelines in here, is there a way to get an automated report? So every morning when you come in, hey, if this was at 1 day, this was at 3 days, this was at 10 days, do you get an automated report that says out of the 100 outstanding tickets, this 3-day one just went over, the 7-day one just went over?
Well, that's what you should see in the main window, which is why we want to choose the priority levels, and then when you go ahead pass to it, the thing just highlights red.
Yeah, I mean,
so
that's
my action item right now.
Like go on it, but there's no alert.
We'll have to. We can set them up.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll set up all of those according to these timelines, and then she'll be able to see those things, or we can click a button and it'll print them all out, or whatever. But we haven't set anything yet as far as timelines.
Okay.
That's kind of what this meeting was about. Kind of finish everything up, and then we can go in and do what we need to do. Croa can do what they need to do. And
I just want to make sure the tool is actually capable of doing that, of getting her easily exportable or something. Okay.
And does the app actually push notifications whenever one of these triggers?
Yeah, it does notifications based on when residents put in tickets and stuff, but we can also push out notifications from our side. Croa can actually push out notifications from their side too, with whatever we want to put on that notification, and it'll go to everybody who has the app.
Yeah, but they have to select notifications.
Yes, they have to turn on their notifications,
like
to my knowledge. Yeah. But we can send out, I mean, hey, today there's a big party, block part, whatever we want to send out.
From that, like a completion notification. If I submit a light ticket, as soon as she clicks that it's been completed,
it goes
I'm
out.
automatically getting a text.
That is correct.
But a survey could be attached to that too. Like, how was your survey? Blah, blah, blah.
Well, that's what I was getting at before.
Yeah, that's where
Yeah.
You weren't here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can attach whatever kind of survey
Are you
you
gonna
want.
get those annoying pop-ups, rate our app in the app store kind of thing?
I don't know.
The survey was more intended, I was looking at it, the questions I had put in here.
How was your service? Did the app work for you? Did you get a response? That kind of thing.
I mean, I looked at three things. Resolution of the issue. Was your issue addressed to a reasonable quality standard? I'm not asking about time. I'm asking about what's the quality, because the time took 3 days and they expected it in one.
No, I know what he's talking about. I haven't gotten one in 3 months that I've been using it. No. So I don't
rate our app.
Yeah, because I don't want to get. I don't care if I get 5 stars at the app store. Yeah, they have to use this.
Yeah, I've had it on my phone.
It's not a.
No.
I've never gotten one.
Me either.
Yeah, I think it's the way it's set up.
So the 3 I had for survey questions was your issue resolved to a reasonable quality standard? From an interaction perspective, if you had communication with staff, board or staff on the issue, were you satisfied with the responsiveness and level of attention given? And then the effectiveness of the application itself. Was your experience with my celebration effective?
And then a text block for comments.
And then a text block for
I like
the questions very simple,
like
yes, no. I don't even want 1 to 5, I just want yes, no's, and if you don't like it, then back us. Okay.
Anything else?
All right.
That was
wait. Any other questions from the audience? Concerns? And Tom, you and I can chat afterwards. I just want to make sure we cover everything and what we want to go ahead and do.
You mentioned before, as far as staff, you've been way at the beginning. So saying will print out things. So when we're looking at a completion thing, I know it's got the ability, if they have the app on the phone, they can go take a picture. Hey, yep, fix the sprinkler. Take a picture and include that in the ticket. Because she's manually printing them. Can they do that?
Well, whether so the way it is now is you can go in and you can select a name. It'll drop down. It'll say like Russell Simmons, and you can say roadkill or whatever, and that will go directly to him. But we don't want to use that feature because a lot of our guys could be out grinding sidewalks. They don't check their emails while they're out in the field. So she prints out those work orders and they look just like that. They have all the information that you entered on there, and she physically gives them to the guys. They go out, they do them, they bring them back. She updates them in the system.
So are we contemplating them getting pictures back in?
Oh, and like sending to the resident.
It goes with the notice.
It's already in the system. She's just printing it out for the work order.
No, I'm talking about
after it's completed.
Oh, you want completion pictures?
Sprinkler head.
Yeah.
It's fixed.
Yeah. If she.
I mean, it can't be.
Okay.
I don't think I could do that all the time.
That's a lot of extra work.
Yeah.
If it's completed, it's completed.
They'll look.
Right?
Yeah.
That's fine.
I think it's an extra step.
I mean, if we get into an issue where I'm getting notified that this wasn't done, this wasn't done, this wasn't done,
then we
right? Then
fix this.
Right.
Oh, you gave us the wrong location. Okay,
yeah.
Now we got 2 broken. So.
And our guys have never. We have a really good crew here. They've never come in and said, "Oh yeah, I completed something," and then we find out a day or 2 later that it actually wasn't complete. If we get to that point, we have a whole nother set of issues that we will address, and maybe we require pictures or something. But right now, we don't need to do that.
Okay.
But if the board wants us to, we obviously will.
Since I'm just curious, since you guys are actually going to assign tickets to staff, do you guys intend to do that level of detail?
I require.
Okay, and those will be uploaded to your ticket. Okay, so that'll just be something that we'll just be telling residents differently. That's fine. And for most of our stuff, we're really not worried about. Nobody cares what
Our essentially are
very much infrastructure. Yeah. Question. So I just want to follow up on something you said. You're going to print out the problem report and you're going to hand it to somebody. Now the software has a provision for a journal entry that you can say, this was given to this person on that date. Or enter that information into there so that we have data that tracks that this person was given this problem report on this date.
Normally I do, as soon as I print it out, I give it to the person that it needs to go to, I'll go back in. This has been received by ECBD or.
Yeah, I'm talking about the next step after that. You're not going to use the provision to say this goes to us automatically.
No.
You're going to actually print it out, hand it to us.
We're not going to put that in the system. No. We would put in the system, like she said, generalization. This has been received. We have sent someone out to do it, or it's on the schedule for tomorrow.
For your own tracking purposes.
Oh yeah, we have tracking with internally with our work orders.
Yeah, so you're going to enter it on the same in the same entry page that had the report on it, right? Because there was, I remember when we reviewed this, there was a potential for you to, if you want to call it a log file, to update the content. Where are we with this? Who has it? This is in progress with this person. Will you use that capability, or I'm just wondering how you know, or how Russell knows he got it.
Well, it's just like communicating. Like it's never on the email or nothing like that. I tell him, hey, this tree file, we need to go fix it, and then he'll come back and say we can't get this done today, or so it's just in-person contact. It's not like an internal.
Okay, so you're not going to actually put it into a journal software.
Tom, are you talking about like sorry to remember, you're talking about like an interim report, hey, we got a sidewalk over 50%.
No, for their own tracking purposes. I'm looking at this
For
is
internal tracking?
Yeah, we track them internally.
Your own,
yeah.
Yeah, they have a system.
They already have their process.
We were deep in the software when we went through all of this, right?
Yeah,
we were right down to every field.
Yeah, we have our own internal tracking with work orders. When every morning everyone gathers and they get work orders that go out. Okay. So everybody gets whatever work orders that they're going out to do that day. When they come back in, they all get given back to Jasenia, and she goes through and she puts them on our tracking, or in the system she'll update it that goes back to the resident. So we won't be using that journal entry.
That's what.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Wait, I did have a dumb question. I don't know if it was answered, but
no dumb question.
From what she was saying before, the resident gets like, I don't know if they get to pick their due date, but or not a due date, but if it's finished, when they submit like a roadkill or whatever, that's automatically gonna assign 3 days. Like if they're submitting a ticket.
No, you're gonna have these. These are internal for you. We're gonna post these on the website, correct? That kind of gives them a general idea of what the expectation is. If I submit trash to be cleaned up, they can expect it's gonna be done in 1 day. And you're gonna know it's in 1 day. So if you've got a trash work order, and it hasn't been done in 1 day, then you're gonna know.
All those days would just be on our end.
Yes.
Right.
Oh.
It just gives them a reasonable expectation to where if I report something, I shouldn't be waiting 30 days to have my ticket closed or updated.
Not to get in the weeds with like trash, what if they call it 4:15 in the afternoon? And
it's one business day, so that's gonna be the
next
day.
It's one business day.
Well, some of these
it's not 1 hour.
One business day, and
Tuesday's
business day.
starting when it was given.
7:05
within 24 hours.
That's day 0.
Yeah.
What's the process if we triage something, send it to you? Like how does the SLA then? So it's 24 hours from intake, right?
I think the triage is always, if we go vice versa, it's from when you get it, because now you have to do the reassessment. That's fair.
So that doesn't bleed into the SLA.
No, I think at that point it's gonna I think it should reset.
Okay.
That be reasonable, because you have to figure out what this is, and it could be very complicated. And it could, let's say it took you 5 days as you were working through it, and you're like, wait a minute,
This is CDD.
This is CDD, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And it's not because you dropped the ball, you investigated it, took you this long, it got over to us, and now we've got to, maybe we got to move a little faster, I don't know, but depending on the situation, but it has to reset.
And that's visible to residents, though, that.
Well,
Yeah.
that's where okay, so that's where something like that, when it comes over,
yeah,
that's where we have to put an update in the case and say, we, Crowe has investigated this. This belongs to the CCD due to this, whatever. We are working at it, and then we will assign.
But to the point, it's not like cell service where, hey, if it gets wrongly assigned, the ticket just terminates and it has to restart the whole thing.
Right.
That ticket will continue. It just gets hopped over to whoever belongs.
You guys will update it on your end. Hey, we investigated this. It's not a CROA issue. It's now being transferred over to CDD, and then we'll get it and we'll put virtually the same note in it. So the resident will get that update and then we'll work through it, and vice versa.
It's so funny when we're going through all this, we talk about SLAs, talk about the priorities, we talk about all this stuff, which is wonderful and important. But for me, most important part is when you're updating the customer.
Yeah.
That is the most important. If you don't do that,
you can take forever, but
you can have the best software, you can have everything. Don't do that, the whole thing falls apart. It's always been my experience. So that's why it's so important. And even if you're always gotta be honest with them, even if it's bad news, at least you conveyed that to them, right? They want to know. And mostly somebody has to call them. But that's part of customer service, right? That's what it is.
So Angel, I made the adjustments on that file. I'll send that to you soon.
Okay. You all right, Jack?
I'm perfect.
Anticipating Valentine's Day?
Got a golf game that day, don't you?
It would be a good day for golf, wouldn't it?
I'm sure it would. You're gonna sleep outside that night?
Again.
No, that's not a golf day.
Dave, no. Is there anybody even online? I don't know. Brenda, is there anybody online?
Yes, there are a few people and no one has raised their hand.
Right.
Before, are we done with this? Because I just have one thing to address the board with. If we're done with my, it's 2 seconds.
Is it on the agenda? Is it on the agenda?
It's just 2 seconds, but I have to get it addressed. Are we done with my celebration? Okay. So my celebration FL.
No, that's for Android users.
Everybody just convert to Apple and we wouldn't have this problem.
It's left. I don't like that.
So I just have a thing. So the charrette went out. Okay. And I would like, and I know we can't make any decisions and I'm not asking, but is it okay if, being that Mr. Hume wrote the scope and I sent it out to everyone, they're all requesting back. So what I did is ask them to have their proposals by Friday, at the latest by Monday, so I could send them out to all of you. So, and they're not going to be something extraordinary that you have to review. I mean, they're not going to be super lengthy, 100 pages. So the intent was so you all can review them and make a decision at your Tuesday meeting. They're all coming back with questions. And I don't necessarily have all the answers. So I wanted to know if it was okay if Mr. Hume or Mr. Filak, anybody the board wants to make
only one.
Only one of you, but a point of contact with these firms. Carrie, Russ, myself, any of us are willing to be on the call, but I just don't know that we'll have all of the answers that they're going to be asking. And every firm so far has come back and said, hey, can we have a conversation? I have questions. Can we have a conversation?
One reached out to me.
And that's, I figured they would. I think
you wrote
yeah.
I mean, I did some minor tweaks to it and added some sections, but Angel sent that all out so you can see what I redlined in there. So I'm fine. You know more about this than I do.
Yeah. What process do you want? Just to get them all just email or?
We can do that. I think most of them have asked for phone calls. So I'm happy to put it all together, like introducing, he's going to be the point of contact. If you could please just copy us on your answers, or if y'all have a phone call and they have a list of questions, if you just send us the questions and the answers, then at least we're all in the loop. It doesn't really matter. I don't think it's going to be that extensive, but I just don't feel like we're going to have all of the right answers to give. And I don't want to lead somebody down the wrong path. I think that was it.
Dave's the right guy to do that, yeah.
It's fine.
Is that okay?
And so that'll put us on track to vote on that in the Tuesday meeting.
Mhm.
And then are we intending, do we have any of those, how many vendors do we actually make contact with?
Everyone you sent me. So
They all came back?
5 or 6.
Man,
I think
okay.
all of them. One copied you on an email, but I believe all of them, and they've all reached back out. What I sent out was the full scope and the initial case study of a community master plan. Those are the 2 documents that I sent out, and basically I blind copied every company that I sent it to, but I sent it to everyone. I think Baker, Perry, GAI, Seacrest.
Yeah, Ryan Seacrest.
I've sent it out to everyone that he recommended. I think there was 6 or 7, maybe something like that, maybe 5 to 7.
So Dave, from your experience with doing these, is this something where we would encourage them to come to the dialogue, or is it pretty fair based on what we see on paper?
They're all going to come up with a different angle.
And I told them all the intent was, please have it by Monday at the latest, so I can send it to you all. And then please come to the meeting for any questions and answers. Okay. It's not like you're going to have 20 vendors sitting out there. I mean, at the most, it'd probably be 5 or 6. Some may drop off.
Sounds like Jennifer. You have 5 or 6 for the RP.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very simple.
So.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. No, perfect. Then I'll set it up with you.
Yeah. Hopefully we can do that so that we keep it to a minimum.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And I don't want to make this a 5-hour meeting, but I also, given the importance of this, I want to make sure if we have questions here, it's happening here.
Anything else?
That's all I got. That's all I had.
Any other comments?
As soon as I set up a meeting with GoGov, the vendor, I'll reach out. And Lauren, if I miss anyone, just invite whomever needs to be on that call and be able to ask your set of questions and what we need and kind of go like that.
Is that it?
No, I'm just saying, this is outside meeting, but they've all put a mobile sign trailer on Celebration Boulevard in the media there.
Mm-hmm.
It looks so tacky, and not that I'm trying to say let's get rid of it per se.
Who put it there?
It's a crow of function, isn't it? The Puffs and Pines.
County puts them up though, I think. One on Celebration.
Well, it's at Lakeside, but I'm just saying, why can't we just have a nice digital sign in the median that looks nice and not a trailer that's
because we're not paying
ugly
for it.
What?
We're not paying for the sign. That's why
well, I mean, if we
they don't ask us for our
that we could display our company our community information on.
That brass statue of the dude that we're paying for. We don't have
I'm just saying it's so tacky that they have this trailer there with a light thing. It's horrible looking.
This is Jack's meeting.
Or
whatever.
Oh,
the
yeah.
meeting for next week.
Oh, that's
okay. Jack would like a discussion item on it.
So like the writer grants.
But I mean, we could build sign. We could let them operate the sign. We could operate the sign. Whoever it is to publish community events on it.
Is this a community event?
Well, it must be because they're inviting everybody in the world to it.
It's
a celebration event.
It's not just for celebration.
Oh, so it's just in the surrounding areas too.
So my question is, we don't allow signs in our medians.
If the county puts them in there,
the county has right of way. The county right of
well,
their road.
Technically our median, but
it's not their property.
It's usually county.
They rent our grants.
Something to do with the roadway.
I think it's the county.
It is the county. Mm-hmm. They own the roads, and we just have access to the right of ways.
No,
we own the
I don't think so. I've never seen where we own any median. Not on county roads.
So I have a motion to adjourn.
We own.
You don't need a motion.
You own the median Celebration Boulevard.
We don't. I don't think we own.
I can't believe it. I figure out what did I sign?
Oh, sign this. Oh, that's not. It's just Franklin.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm just saying we can make
Yeah.
That's all. I still have to.
Yeah, he did.
Oh,
They come to the January meeting.
Oh, okay, that's right.
Because
I wonder
they
what
want to
everybody's
they
favorite
voting
one, because she has such a
library.
I know.
Did you share it with your kids?
I do. Well, my kids really don't eat candy.
They don't
So
eat
I bring
candy.
it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I bring it here.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
We'll have to be done.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Good night, Brenda.
I knew we owned the media.
See you guys, thank you.
We own the media. We own the media.
Yeah.